Hello, fabulous Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of February 2016, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Early in the month, we are moving towards a new moon, and this new moon is happening in a very compatible sign to yours, fellow air sign, Aquarius, and is happening in a part of the sky that has to do with the whole world opening up to you. It has to do with adventure, with engagement, with stepping up to a bigger stage than you knew before. It has to do with publishing, with learning, with philosophy and spirituality and politics and legal matters. So there's all kinds of energy available to you that is really about you knowing more and being more than you have been before. And in many ways, it is about setting the stage, a very important stage at that, but setting the stage so that you can experience even greater breakthroughs and manifest things that you really can be proud of just a little bit further down the road when the next new moon comes along, which is 28 and a half days later. And also what will manifest in 6 months' time, and also what will manifest even further down the road. So this is a really important time, and this particular new moon being so compatible to yours, but not only that, speaking with Uranus and Saturn in harmony does suggest that you are not only thinking about what it is that's going to create greater stability in your life, right? What's practical to do now, but also what it is that is really going to allow you to trust yourself, to be yourself, to feel like you're moving forward in a direction that resonates with you, with something honest within you. But also you're thinking big picture. You know, how can I use this time? How can I use this opportunity, this moment right now as part of the bigger picture of your life? So there are a few different ways that this energy can manifest. Now, I do want to say though, this new moon is also speaking with Mars. And Mars right now is going to enter shadow late in the month and will be sort of moving around between a part of the chart, a part of the sky, a part of your sky that has to do with work, right? The actual work that you're doing, the job that you have. And moving towards relationships as well, and love relationships as well. And of course, I'll be here to talk about that in the months, the weeks ahead, especially in the weekly as we go along week to week. But having said that, it does look like this new moon likely will give way to some wonderful opportunities, and then the energy shifts a little bit as you strive to bring those opportunities and integrate them more fully into your lived day-to-day experience and start making them part of your routines, or at least to allow them to change the way that you understand that you're meant to go where it comes to the work that you do, the self-care that you practice in every area of life. So with this particular new moon, as I said, there's lots of different parts of life that are highlighted with this. But ultimately, it does have to do with understanding. Understanding is really one of the keys with this particular part of the sky. So if you are somebody who's trying to get a publishing deal or has been thinking about publishing your own material, right, sharing of yourself in that way, then this is going to be a time when that momentum really starts to build. This can also be a time of a really fortunate contact taking place, a really fortunate connection happening for you. And this also can be a time when you meet somebody, and by aligning with them, greater opportunity in regards to you sharing in bigger ways opens up to you. So if you're in an industry where you might need an agent, where you might need someone who in some way facilitates you're being exposed to, or you're really getting out there, meeting more people, being part of creating greater success for yourself, creating greater opportunity for you, then this is a really good time when that person might just show up for you. But if it does happen that way, then it will be like those quick connections. I remember way back in the day, someone told me, I don't even think I remember his name, but I remember, he said it's those those instant connections and those casual conversations that you have and those instant connections that end up changing like really so many things, but really end up being very fortunate for you, or not just fortunate, but it's like the connections that you have that are the most natural, that feel most at ease, that end up being the most beneficial, the most inspiring, the most creative. It is the ease that you want to trust, and that's going to be part of the message for you now. So trust that ease when meeting someone new, and very quickly you can find circumstances changing to your advantage. Also, if you are in university, if you're in an institution of higher learning, this can also work very much in your favor. Now, this looks like a part of you might be wanting to be practical, right? Thinking like, okay, what do I got to do to make sure that I can get a job after I graduate? But there's going to be other considerations as well that are a little bit more lofty, that have more to do with, like I said, your calling, that have more to do with the security that comes from knowing that you're immersing yourself in something that matters to you, that you find meaningful. So how do you find that right balance? I'll give you an example. I remember my first day in graduate school, the very first day, one of the very first things that the program director actually said, I hope this is okay for me to share, because I do love that program. I'm so grateful for everybody there. But I remember one of the first things she said was, if you think that what you learn here is going to get you a job, well, I'm sorry, you should know right now that's not the case. And I remember when she said that, my first impression was, okay, great, now you tell me I'm already here in another country. But the other thing I remember feeling and thinking was, that is not going to be the case for me. That's not what is going to be my case. And the reason I felt that is because I just really knew that there was something in me, just really felt that this was the direction that I was meant to go in, and this would be part of what I end up sharing in the world. And it may very well be something like that for you. Like someone says to you, hey, okay, you can go in this direction, but it doesn't really have a lot of practical use to it, but you know different. And so it is in those moments when you know different that you've got to trust yourself. Now, if you don't know different, right? If their concerns are legitimate and they're just giving voice to your concerns, then that's going to be part of your consideration as to how to move forward. Either you're going to immerse yourself or you're going to decide to pace yourself. But make sure you do incorporate learning about something that you love. So if you are in university or trying to get into university, this is going to be that step forward. This is going to be some positive news, that step forward. This could be a time when you learn of a program that resonates with you. You're like, this is it. Yeah, that's what I want to study, which is kind of like what happened to me. I remember just seeing the brochure and I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is what I want to study. So it may very well be an experience like that for you. If you've gotten a rejection letter or been told you're on the waiting list, this can be a wonderful turnaround that happens now that gets you into the program that you desire. You might be, as I said, scrambling a little bit, trying to figure out your way forward, having to make some adjustments in your daily life. But for all that, it does look like you're moving forward in regards to higher education. Legal matters as well can work very much in your favor, especially if you initiate them right at this new moon, about a week into the month. Also, not only having to do with legal matters, but also because this has to do with long distance travel and immigration and citizenship, all of that can go very well for you. So if there's any kind of applications or forms or visas that you have to apply for as a Gemini, it is a week into the month that you've got a lot of cosmic support to make sure that that is received friendly, to make sure that that application is received at a time and in a way where there's cosmic support to make things go in a way that you desire. In addition to that, this also has to do with, as I said, travel. So very well, you may just get a chance to travel, to go somewhere fun or new or different, to just be able to explore more of the world. And this could also be ideas, spiritual paradigms, you getting a chance to learn more about a different world view and a different way to see the world. As we progress towards the later part of the month, we are going to have a full moon that takes place at the very bottom of your sky, and this happens just as Mars enters shadow. Now, this particular full moon has a certain dreamy aspect to it, or has a certain feel to it where it might not necessarily be connected to reality, or the reality like hits you after you've delved into a certain fantasy. So just be mindful of that. Know that you may be seeing things with rose-colored glasses, but for all that, this particular full moon is playing out the very bottom of your chart. It has to do with matters of home, and that could be your physical home, that could be your family of origin, and that could also be how you feel at home within yourself, within your own body, and within your own skin. So this can be a time when an inspiring view and vision opens up to you, because the Sun and Neptune are at the very top of your sky, speaking with this full moon. So you're being shown the way to a more inspiring future, to more inspired accomplishments, but you will see very quickly that there's work to be done. So what is that work? Really, you will find your way, and you will certainly find your way forward. Sometimes those tough questions actually are just the thing that you need to create a sense of anticipation, a sense of moving forward. And ultimately, it is going to be likely someone asking you some tough questions about what you're really aiming for, what you really want, what you're really going for. Very likely, again, a partner, someone that you're in a partnership with, that ends up helping you to understand where you want to be in terms of where you want to live, and what it is that you're really going for and aiming for, what direction you believe is worth pursuing. So all of that is going to come up in a very emotional kind of way. I've been saying this to some of the signs out there. I'm going to say it to your sign as well. When we have Neptune meeting the Sun, which happens once a year, but then we have the rare phenomenon of that speaking with or standing across the sky from a full moon. This can, really lend itself to overindulgence, and particularly in Neptunian things, right? Like alcohol and wine and things like that, and other things as well. But this can lend itself to just diving into a whole other energy that has an escapist quality to it. But with Saturn speaking with this full moon, it's going to say, okay, rein it in, rein it in, listen to yourself. You know what's really going on here. So you certainly can find that balance. And I actually think that this can work so much to your advantage. It isn't that it has to work against each other, but rather they balance each other out, so that the inspiration that is finding you is certainly moving you in a direction, a positive direction, and a direction that ultimately will count in the bigger picture of your life, will lead you towards greater stability. So matters of home, you do want to watch now. I will say this, with this particular full moon and happening at the very bottom of your sky, as I said, with the physical structure of your house, if you are, looking to buy or sell, or, find a new roommate or move, whatever the case may be, if you're trying to do any of that stuff, you may want to have somebody come with you. You might want to get another opinion, because this does suggest that you may not be getting an accurate assessment of what's actually happening. And also, what I would really like is if you can tap into that Saturn sooner rather than later, then you can be guided in a more stable direction. Because this particular conversation, I will be honest with you, it can lend itself to just pouring a whole lot of energy just sort of being directed. And the thing is, you want to have something to show for it, right? And also, it's a full moon. It represents a culmination. It's a full moon speaking with Neptune across the sky. That can, in some cases, very few cases, okay, so a very small percentage of you, this can indicate not getting as good a deal as you really deserve if you just wait a little bit or time it a little bit better. And so you might end up paying too much, or you may end up getting too little. This can sometimes, and in some very rare cases, also bring about issues having to do with water in your home as well. So these are some things that you want to watch as part of navigating this time. But the one way that you certainly can use this time very well is to think of creative ways to bring a greater sense of a greater sense of connection, a greater sense of spiritual sanctuary in the place that you live. That is one really great way to use this energy. What I love about this month for you is that there's tons of harmonious energy with you, especially in the early part of the month, where you're just dreaming big and you know that you are on a good path. You are seeing what needs to be done so that you can manifest great things. And this is actually happening all month, but in decidedly different ways. Yes, in the early part of the month, it feels a little bit bigger, a little bit more inspired, but at the end of the day, it really is about the foundation on which you sit or stand, the foundation that you build, or the foundation from which you build what it is that you truly desire to experience in the highest sense. You're going to get powerful glimpses into both, but also some powerful action steps that can't help but move you forward in a direction that is ultimately solid and stable and allows you to feel like you are making decisions from a place of self-understanding.